Okay. Meow.
Yeah. Hello.
Meow. Welcome to Speedrun 2. We're not just going to be meowing the entire time. At least I don't think so.
No, but cats are fun.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, welcome to Scapegoat 2. I'm going to talk about a little bit of this game first before I start up, because there's an important piece of tech that gets displayed in the very first level, and I won't have much time to explain it once the timer starts. So this is a puzzle platforming game that was released in 2014. When you start speedrunning, though, it turns more into a precision platformer and a IL frame war type of game once you get into it. The tech that I was mentioning is boost jumps. You get a double jump in this game, and normally you're only intended to jump 4 blocks high, but if you do a very specific timing of a release and then repress within 2 frames and then repress, you will get a 5 block high jump. I'll be using that in several levels throughout the run to shortcut intended strategies. But with that, let's go ahead and get this started. 3, 2, 1, go.
Well then, I wish you good luck.
Mm-hmm. And also along with me for the ride is Yagamoth, who's the host for this run, as well as he knows the run a little bit, so he'll be able to help me out.
Hopefully so, indeed. Thank you very much. Also, for anybody who may not have caught this is a scapegoat 100%, which means immediately on the first level, Stinger is going to grab a key, which actually leads you to one of the stained glass levels. If you play this game casually, it actually takes a while until you may even realize these levels even exist. And usually these levels are actually pretty tricky. You see these Reapers, they shoot fireballs, and they are used to burn these boxes. And in order to get to the shard in the bottom left, which is the goal in this game, it's actually kind of tricky to time it. So the Reapers themselves, they don't actually have a hitbox or something that kills you. What however does kill you is of course the fireballs themselves. The fire on boxes does not hurt you, so that's...
Yeah, fortunately burning boxes don't actually hurt. Squishing walls do hurt, unfortunately. So that's actually a pretty rare death because of how squish mechanics actually work in this game. I'm surprised it happened twice in a row.
Yeah. This game was actually updated a fair bit, but the developer of this game, I think it was Ian Stocker. Either way,
yeah,
the developer of this game
Magical Time
is actually
Ian.
Magical Time. Yeah. He is pretty awesome and has taken a lot of the speedrunning stuff into consideration when updating and doing stuff, so this is pretty sweet.
And this level, you're going to see a pretty neat strat with manipulating the squishiness mechanics. By just dashing into a falling block, the game is trying to rejiggle where the goat is located while it's being squished, and it actually just pops out on the opposite side.
Indeed. So maybe for basic mechanics, you have a dash, you have a jump, and you have a double jump. Now, something that is not immediately obvious when you play this casually is you can dash off a platform and then just jump twice in the air, which is an intended mechanic, also a necessary mechanic to get everything in this game. Also, we actually, in the level Stinger just pointed out, we did receive a rat companion. You've technically seen it already in the level earlier where the stained glass level, because you're supposed to have your companion there already. But that's Henry. And Henry, you can do 3 things with him. You can place him down and he falls asleep, which is kind of cute, in order to hold down switches or something like that. Then the second thing you can do is you can throw him up, and he will retain the momentum that you have as the goat yourself. And he can also move along the walls in order to hit switches and toggle things. It's actually very simple on what he can do, but so many things can be done in this game. It's pretty awesome. So in this game here, you saw Stinger, let's put it this way, it's really difficult to keep up with everything, but the short version is that he sent Henry on some tours. So those Reapers attack either the goat as soon as it comes into line of sight, or Henry himself, which you can abuse in order to make them shoot fireballs at appropriate timings. Also, there's another mechanic there where Stinger just used or grabbed a magic cat, which allows you to teleport to Henry's location with the goat as in spot position. Woods of Duplicity here, or the first level of it anyways, is one of my favorite levels because so many things went through so many little changes and iterations on how to optimize them. It's a lot of fun to just...
2.1 might have the most optimizations in it. Or most iterations of similar strats.
Indeed. Also, you may have just seen Stinger just kind of jump straight through a fireball just now. And the thing is, what he just did is not necessarily obvious. He can throw Henry slightly in front of him if he just jumps. It is a relatively tight timing, but if you do, Henry will absorb the fireball shot and Stinger with the goat can just dash straight through that remaining puff of smoke, so to speak.
Yeah, we call that Henry shielding. It's not too bad to do. It's used in a few room strategies. When I used it in 2.2 just a minute ago, it was actually a backup strat. I did not intend to do that, but I had to.
Yeah. The nice thing about this game, in my opinion, is one of my favorite aspects of this game anyways, is it's a puzzle platform. But instead of figuring out the puzzles completely, you can sometimes just substitute it with good platforming or gameplay, which is really intriguing to me. So the overall goal of this game is to release those sheep souls in order to be able to advance to new areas and the next sections. Each one of these areas has 2 parts to it, and you only unlock them once you have gotten enough sheep souls in order to advance to the higher levels, to the next areas, etc.
Yeah, so there's 16 sheep souls in total. You only need 7 for any percent, but being 100%, we're going to be getting all 16 in this run. Most of the levels I'm doing right now, other than the stained glass rooms you've seen me do a couple times, are in the any percent route, not specific to 100%. But once we get our 8th sheep soul, we'll start doing basically only 100% rooms. And that's when the difficulty of the run just ramps up incredibly.
Indeed. Also, I would like to point out, I love this music, it's amazing. So in this room, you're supposed to do an entire series of other things in order to be able to reach that switch up there, but you can just barely reach it. It's really, really...
Yeah. There's actually a weird mechanic with bouncing Henry off those ice blocks there that gets him a little bit of extra height.
Indeed. So in this room, there's another secret key, and in order to obtain it, you have to get this Reaper to shoot a bunch of fireballs, so you can get the key and also subsequently get into the hidden door.
Yeah, the keys are hidden pretty well in a lot of levels.
Indeed, but it's actually never unreasonable to find them. It's really, really great. The trickiest thing is just learning initially how they work. Also, these saw blades here, Stinger is trying to basically keep them alive in order to smash that box up there, so the rock drops, so the switch gets hit, so he can actually finally jump.
It's an escort mission with saw blades.
Yes, pretty much. Oh, there's a really intriguing strategy in this room that no one does because it's way too... And I'm not even sure it's faster.
There are actually two strategies that are faster in that room, but they're both tasks only.
Yeah, so they say. Alrighty, real quick, as a host, I should also announce that welcome. You are currently watching the RPG Valkyries Marathon, the Speedrun. And also this year, we are proud to benefit Take This as an organization again. And Take This is a mental health non-profit organization, and their main mission is to inform the gaming community about mental health issues and provide education on different disorders and prevention techniques, and reduce the overall stigma around mental illness. Further, there is various donation incentives you can... I'm cutting myself off. Okay, I need to keep the button pressed more diligently. Alrighty. Further, the idea is to have incentives for you guys to donate towards Bid Wars and goals. Actually, all the goals have been met, which is crazy, I would like to point out. Also, Henry shielding is awesome. And
Yep.
We currently have one Bid War that will be ending at the end of Escape 2 as a run. So the run for... Hang on.
Would like to talk about the next room strat a little bit. I'm going to be doing it twice. You see this column of blocks here? I'm going to slide right in between there. And that's actually extremely tight timing to be able to activate the switch and then fall below before the blocks can switch to you. I have to do it twice because there's another secret key in this room.
Yeah, it's crazy tight. Stinger makes this look way too easy, I'd like to point.
That strat is probably one of the strats that's given me the most difficulty in the game. Just being able to get it consistent.
Yeah, I just didn't want to say anything during that room because that's difficult. Thank you. Oh, I guess you can't hear. Whatever, that's fine. Alrighty, everybody. The upcoming donation goal. Also, this strat is cool. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting myself.
I'm sorry, this game has way too many cool strats.
Yeah.
It's all my fault.
Largely. Alrighty, so Laplace Nomad has a naming incentive for name the main character. There's actually no donations for that there yet, from what I can see. I will actually need to check the donations in just a second, but that will be cut off at the end of Escape Code 2 because there need to be safety save files created, and well, that's why it's going to be cut off right then and there. So if you'd like to name a main character in a game that I honestly don't really know anything about, but should be pretty awesome, yeah, make sure to get those donations in. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, everything goes to Take This, a non-profit charity organization.
So the next area here is basically built all around special abilities for Henry. That room has the magic hat. The next room also has the magic hat. And then there's going to be a weird pedestal thing. I need to take this slow now because I messed up to start. Oh well.
Yeah. Magic Hat, once again, lets you switch places with Henry, which is quite necessary in order to complete this game, these levels. Also, anything in between your teleport locations, between Henry and the goat, actually gets destroyed.
Yeah, I was able to destroy a lot of saw blades in the previous room.
Yep.
But here we have the Necromancer statue. If you put Henry into it, you can make 4 copies. And if you use it in conjunction with the magic hat, you will teleport to those Henrys in the order that they were dropped.
Indeed, this is one of the most awesome strategies. It took so much time, I feel like, until we figured out a good strategy for this one. But once it came together, it looks so smooth.
Yeah, and I should point out, Yagamoth is the one that came up with the final strat for 5-4. Also, I've not really had a great chance to demonstrate this, but this is Ratapulting. If you dash and throw Henry up at the same time, he keeps your dash momentum and will fly across the room. I've used it a couple times, but yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, Ratapulting is... It makes sense, but you don't necessarily initially think of it when you play this casually, at least.
I don't think it's intended casually anywhere. It's just a quirk of the physics in the game.
Alrighty, here we have one-way doors, and as they might imply, you can only enter them from one way. However, either Henry or the goat can open them from one way, and the other character can then just pass through from that side.
Mm-hmm. We're also going to introduce a new Henry power-up here. This is the Cape of Vengeance. You activate it, and Henry goes flying across the room.
Indeed. It's kind of difficult to keep up with commentary in this game, but sometimes you can just enjoy the ride. Oh, one thing is worth noting. You do not actually have to collect the keys necessarily. If they drop into the abyss or if they are eaten by enemies, they will be automatically collected.
Hey, that's very perfect.
Wow. You're supposed to go all the way to the right around and just let Henry hop with clever activations of the switches around the room, but with a frame perfect thing, you can just make him go straight up.
And doing a boost jump there right before the sheep soul to save a 1/10 of a second. Boost jumps are fun. Yeah, we're actually about to enter the first 100% only area. I mentioned earlier that you only require 7 sheep souls out of the 8 areas to beat any percent. This is the one that is skip in any percent. That's the Temple of Adoration. There's some really cool strats that I wish could be displayed in any percent, but it's about 10 seconds slower than doing the Crystal Halls, which is the area we just finished. But there's also a Henry mechanic here as the Tiny Hammer. Can you explain the Tiny Hammer?
Sure. The short version of it is that when you activate Henry's ability, as soon as you collect the hammer, he turns into a solid block. That solid block cannot be destroyed by most means and can hold down switches and also can destroy various things. Oh my goodness. Can block ice blocks and can help you get around lightning beams. I'm way too slow for this. But yeah, it basically creates a solid block where you need it to be. There's another exit in this level, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, there are 2 hidden switches in the bottom there. You have to have Henry turn into a block and cover both of them in order to open up the extra passageways.
Indeed.
This is the hardest strat in the run. I barely missed it. I am on a very tight timer here. And I also have to start it off with this very difficult dash and press of that switch.
Indeed. Those platforms on the right, they crumble under weight after a certain amount of time, so you're basically on a very strict timer.
I'm gonna go for it one more time.
And wouldn't you know it, there is actually hidden exits in hidden rooms, which is one of my favorite things.
Okay, got it. It is very easy to die collecting that key, which is a real bummer if you just did the strat and that's where you die.
Yeah. Also, this strat is pretty sweet. I don't
Firewalls
remember
are
what it
optional.
is, but this is awesome. Just jump through the middle of the Reapers, which, by the way, could easily kill you. So Stinger used the block in midair in order to jump off of it instead of just doing it the normal way around. Also, Henry's block ability can smash wooden crates, kind of like most solid blocks can, if they fly down from.
This is another pretty difficult strat. I used Henry's block ability to push the Reaper off the edge so that he could get down to that bottom level and start opening up a path to the key for me.
Yeah, that's normally a significantly slower level.
Yeah, before that strat was found, it was about a 25-second level, and now it's about an 11-second level, which is a pretty huge difference.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with the other squish mechanics in order to not actually squish the Reaper under the block, just push. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to squish the Reaper there. It's also easy to accidentally, when you're trying to jump over him and then push him off on the second attempt, you'll end up overlapping the block's area, and the game won't allow you to make a block on top of yourself. So you just miss it that way, and you have to go for it again. But this is the graveyard. It is the fastest sheep soul segment in the game. These levels are all very short, especially this one, so don't blink. That's frame perfect. I dashed in between two falling blocks to get to the door a little bit faster than otherwise.
And this level here, it gives you a magic hat that allows you to teleport back to Henry's position, so Stinger leaves Henry at the very beginning area, so he can just immediately teleport back. Also worth noting, it's not necessary to hit all the switches in these sheep soul areas, but if you're good enough and you can just hit all the switches in time, well, why not, I guess.
I think that's the last level I'm going to go for, hitting all the switches. I think there's a 1 more than 100% I might try. But speaking of 100%, we are done with all of the any percent rooms, so we're just going to be doing 100% rooms from here on out. There's like 5 any percent rooms left, and those come at the very end of the run in the final area. So this room has a pretty interesting optimization to it. I'm going to try and get the Reaper to fire a shot in midair when he's falling down. You can see the Reaper at the top of the screen. If I do it right, he will hit the second row of TNT barrels, and that speeds up the level considerably.
Yeah, otherwise you would have to wait for a long chain of barrels to explode.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome.
This level has a pretty interesting manipulation of fireballs. They have a very small area of effect. So if I can get it to hit the wall properly, it will also start burning that block that's right above the door. There we go.
Yeah, you're supposed to burn the thing that is well above it in order to smash the block down, but it's not necessary. If you're that precise, it is.
Yeah, it is frame perfect in that level, unfortunately, and I missed it a few times.
So maybe a mechanic that is not immediately obvious to people who haven't played this. Those Reapers, they do not actually walk off of ledges by themselves, unless under them is an ice block, as in an icy tile or an ice block that you can push around. Oh my goodness. Alright, so that stained glass room. Stinger did a... I don't know whether it's difficult, to be honest, but I know it's really tricky. Okay, yeah, Stinger did a really difficult manipulation there where he just teleported to the ground in order to regain the double jump and dash, and then just immediately jump back up before Henry dropped into the lightning, or he himself dropped into the lightning. That's kind of crazy.
That ends up being one of the harder stained glass room strats. That toss is a little bit difficult and imprecise, but it shortens this escort mission of letting Henry walk around the platforms by a pretty significant amount.
Alrighty, since we have another sheep room, just kind of as a reminder, if you'd like to donate for La Plasma, for the main character name, you have 6 characters of length to use, and there's currently no donations for that one, and it's going to get cut off at the end of Escape Code 2. At this rate, this run is going to end sooner rather than...
Yeah, we probably got about 35 minutes left, depending on how well I play. This room has one of the most fun strats. I can actually clip through walls using the squishiness mechanics. I'm going to do that one more time for a secret key, and it's a pretty long chain of complicated inputs to end this room.
So yeah, you might be wondering what's going on here. The short version is Stinger needs to not get hit by fireballs, and also prevents the Reapers from up there to go down, and for that he just throws Henry up so they get delayed by throwing their own fireballs. Also, this is... Oh, I see.
Unfortunately, I missed the fastest strat in this room. There is a strat where you can get over to a burning block on the far left side and do a boost jump up to the crystal shard, but it's extremely difficult.
Yes, it is.
I did not get it. There's a setup to try and go for it, but I don't expect to get it every time.
Also, these stained glass rooms, they often actually use more advanced techniques that you don't necessarily have to use in other levels, such as shielding via Henry, which might be that's where you actually learn this about these techniques for the first time, because otherwise you couldn't solve these stained glass rooms.
Wait, I messed that up. Oops. Let's restart that. A lot of levels in this game are pretty keen on having a correct start. Otherwise, you're going to end up on extremely different cycles and possibly not even be able to complete the level. Whether it's due to just a really bad cycle you end up on, or you just are not experienced enough with the cycle that you ended up on that you're not able to recover.
Indeed. Here Stinger needs to prevent these rocks from falling down onto the burning crates. Otherwise they don't burn all the way to the side here. And otherwise he's not gonna get... I really enjoy the details on where if you just set Henry down, the little rat is Henry, by the way, he just falls asleep. And if your goat is standing next to it, your goat falls asleep too. It's kind of adorable.
That is one of my favorite things about this game, to be honest. You can even fall asleep in front of doors. This room has a pretty tight strat. I'm trying to get a rolling block. I got... Oh! Interesting. I was not far enough to the left to where I would not get hit by the exploding barrel.
Yeah,
That was a
this
failed
strategy
Henry shield.
is crazy.
I missed a dash there. Henry, you're going the wrong way. Now we get good music again. As if the rest of the music in the game isn't fantastic already.
So this is the definition of a scapegoat. You need to run away from the burning stuff before it explodes into your, well, I guess back in this case.
So I dropped Henry on top of that block so he would instantly absorb the TNT blast. And I could just fall right onto the crystal shard there. Fortunately, the normal door there is significantly safer.
I really like this shortcut.
Oh, hey, I set a room PB. That's unusual. Haven't really mentioned it at all, but there is an in-game timer in the top left corner. Let me reset this. Okay, we got it. It was actually implemented after the game was launched. Basically, when the developer found out there was a speedrunning scene, it would be really cool if it would track in-game time and also individual room times.
Indeed. Also, just for reference, there's also a bonk counter.
Yeah, we are currently at 75 bonks. And a bonk is when you dash into a wall, but don't affect any sort of block or object. So it won't increment if you were to hit a sliding ice block or break a box, but if I just bonk against this wall a bunch, well, if I were donating according to a bonk counter, that could really hurt my pocket.
Yeah. Good. Then again, there's a lot of intended bonks for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not uncommon for that counter to go over 100, 120. I don't know exactly how many are required in 100%, but it's a fair number. This is a cool little strat. The intended strat here is that you let Henry ride this instead of yourself, and you just activate the switches that are near the start to activate and deactivate the electric beams. But it's actually faster to just ride it yourself. And yeah, there's actually an even faster version of this where you only ride the block halfway. But it's basically a TAS-only strat.
It is really ridiculous. I blinked and the level was over. Wow.
There was a lot of levels in this game. This room has a pretty interesting strat. I have to do it twice because there is a secret key here. But I actually did a half-strength Ratapult, which means I tossed Henry up towards the end of the dash there when he didn't have as much momentum. I did that so he would be able to hit a key or a switch. I'm going to do it again one more time here. Oh yeah, that's stained glass room. It's a fun strat. But you'll see me do it again right here. I did not manage to land on the platform in midair this time, but for that door, it doesn't matter so much.
And yes, we're only $449 away from saving a beard, which seems like a good thing to me. Also, from funding a full AFK.
Grow. You should save it.
Once again, there is still the naming incentive for La Place Noma for the main character. If you'd like to get your donations in, just $1 in theory could net you a name in that run.
Okay. There's actually a couple of invisible switches in this room. I Ratapulted Henry over to the opposite side of the room so he could get to that switch a little faster. Took a couple attempts, unfortunately, but...
Yep.
This room has a very much not intended strat. You're supposed to use the magic hat and some nice Henry placements to just kill all these Reapers in here, but we're going for a pacifist route, and we're not killing them. We're just going to use a lot of Henry shields, which thankfully Henry's invincible.
But this is crazy difficult.
That strat took a while to get down.
Yeah. Oh, this level was a fun one to optimize.
I messed it up at the end. Oh well. Yeah, that's a really fun level. It's also a really nice test of fundamentals.
Stuff is going over so fast. I have barely time to even process what's going on.
Oh,
this is a
little
nice
bit extra time on this one. This is one of the best levels. You can die very easily, as you can see. The second jump here is extremely precise. Yeah, I needed to get you to beat that one.
So once again, those are one-way doors. If you open them, something can't pass through from the other side. And what Stinger is trying to do is get Henry to open up these doors just in time, so he can go and grab the key and then get out right after, while Henry is helping out.
Mm-hmm. And then I also set Henry in place for Magic Hat once I grab that power-up. This is another room with a secret exit. It changes at the very end of the level, so I have to go through a lot of this twice. That's where it changes up, because I have to be able to get to this key here. And there's an invisible switch that the barrel has to hit in order to open it up. Oops.
This is probably one of the meanest starts to a level. You have to immediately get away before you die. You have to dash to the right.
Yeah, if you don't dash at the start of this level, you die. There's no getting around it. But we've actually done most of the stained glass rooms now. Oops. Pressed the wrong button. There are only 2 stained glass rooms left to get at this point.
So once again, you're not supposed to be able to jump up 5 blocks, especially not after a dash. So Stinger is just using something called a boost jump, which allows him to do, let's just simplify it with very precise inputs to get slightly more height, which allows him to just pass 5 blocks of.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really difficult to get consistent at.
Yeah, I've been playing this game for 5 years now, and I'm maybe 75-80% consistent with boost jumps.
Yeah, that's
It's only a 2-frame window to repress the button after releasing it, and there's also only a certain amount of frames where you can release the first jump at. This is a pretty cool strat here. It completely bypasses the puzzle in this room. If I dash at the right time, I'll squeeze between those blocks and just go on to the end. Otherwise, the puzzle there is horribly complicated and really fun to optimize otherwise. But,
yeah, bummer.
get to skip it. Oh, okay, never mind. I missed a jump input there.
There is another hidden key on the right side there. So what he's trying to do is have Henry just keep going up, hit the switch, which deactivates these plates, and then just keep going up on the right side, stepping onto these door things.
So we got another escort mission here, basically. We have to get the Reaper on the right side to do a lot of things for us. Like throw fireballs, ignite these TNT barrels. Now we have to drop him down. And ignite some more TNT barrels on our side. Aw, he didn't go to the right place. That was a little close. I've often said that that level, S9, is my least favorite in the run, but I've started to come around on it a little bit. There's some nice micro-optimizations to it, even though you're basically just walking the Reaper around until the end.
So we did receive a $5 donation just about 2 minutes ago from Pillar of Salt Shakers. I like your name. And the donation comment reads, for $5, name them Pickle. And I imagine that's for La Plasma, the main character, so thank you very much. Your donation is greatly appreciated, and I'll update that as soon as I figure out how.
So, neat strat there. I'm able to dash in between a couple moving blocks in order to access the lower part of the level where I'm not supposed to be able to get to for a while until after solving the puzzle there. I was going to hit all the switches, but I messed up getting to the first one, and it would have put me a little bit behind. Oh well. Now going into the second half of Temple of Adoration, which has a couple very difficult rooms. In particular, the first and the last room in this area are very difficult. That jump right there is a 2-frame window to try and hit. Oh. I did not place Henry correctly at all there. That's unfortunate. You can see why this is one of the harder levels in the run. With this jump on top of having to jump off that stone block before it falls into the abyss. This level can give you some headaches sometimes. Usually not this much, but... Heh. I did the strat correctly, otherwise I died. Okay, let's get it this time. Or not. On top of this jump right here being very small frame window, I'm trying to optimize the cycles on how long switches are held. Finally got it. No, I was really just cutting a lot of them very tightly. And usually I can handle that, but it was not going too well there. I can optimize that room a little bit at the end by letting Henry walk on his own. Not a great segment, unfortunately. Also, it'd help if I paid attention to the room.
A lot of these rooms, by the way, are super tricky to do, even if you just play them casually before trying to go for speed. And this one is most certainly no exception.
Yeah, a lot of these rooms are the cause of many deaths in casual play. This room has a complicated intended strat of getting that barrel in the top down to the bottom so you can press 2 switches at the same time, but we don't bother with that. Alright, this is the other hard strat that I mentioned in this segment. The very end has a complicated set of inputs. And I got it first try. You have to get Henry to turn into a block, and then also jump, and then also dash in order to stay above the electric beam to give Henry just enough time to activate the switch at the bottom, which cuts off the electrical beam. So it can be a bit difficult to pull off. But yeah, we only have one more sheep soul to save at this point. Still one in the graveyard. And then we'll be on to the final area. So we're rolling up to a pretty swift end to the run. There are 13 segments to the last area, but oops.
So these runs I actually haven't seen RTA in quite a while, so I'm really curious on how they work. I know there's some fun tool-assisted speedrun type strategies, but I'm not sure how reasonable they are.
I'm going to reset this. I want to be able to toss Henry up right at the start there, so the TNT boxes, A, get activated immediately, and also kill the Reapers at the same time. And they're set up really nicely to die at the very start. Come on. This level has a lot of complicated hat back and forth, where I was a little bit off in some of the inputs, but we didn't die. That's the important part.
Indeed. Trying to optimize these rooms where you can teleport back and forth is ridiculous.
This level is pitch black, and you don't actually even know where the exit is until the very end. When you get the key, it's off in this bottom right corner. Bottom left, excuse me. Here we have a fun saw escort mission. I'm going to be pressing these bone blocks at specific times in order to get them to drop the saw onto the next platform.
Yeah, that's really difficult to time. That's probably the level that gave me the most trouble casually.
Yeah, because you only get one shot casually, and then you're back to restarting the room. Fortunately, there is a pretty simple timing on that level once you understand it, to where you can just do it all at the same time instead of trying to do it one piece at a time, which actually becomes a lot harder in how it typically gets solved in casual play. But yeah, we're moving on to the Lair of Tarragos, the final area of the game. There is a boss type enemy in these levels. It's a bone snake. Basically, the easiest way to describe it is that it is an enemy that will move in a snake-like pattern and will try to follow wherever you are going.
Yeah, it is supposed to change direction whenever it hits a wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's currently trying to go in a direction that will reach me. It's currently locked in that upper area, though. So it makes for a pretty safe tutorial on how this guy works. But I'm actually going to be going back into this level for the last secret key. I need to go that direction. There is a very difficult strat in this room. I might miss it multiple times because it's hard. I've been talking about boost jumps the whole run. There's actually a super boost jump. If you do a boost jump, I missed it. If you do boost jump with frame perfect repress timing and also release on the correct first frame, got it second try, I'll take it. You will actually jump a little bit higher, and it's high enough to induce the bone snake to go up instead of down from where it was. And that is a secret switch that it was able to hit there. But it is significantly more difficult than a normal boost jump. Oops. Thought I stepped off the switch.
Also, by the way, this is the intended strategy for this room. This is how crazy these rooms are. You have an incredibly small time limit to get through these laser beams, have Henry not get squished by the lightning or destroyed, and or you not get squished. It's actually really crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty ridiculous room. Speaking of ridiculous rooms, I'm going to go for a strat. I'm probably not going to get it. I'm going to try and jump off an ice block in midair. I did not get it. I could try and go for it again. It will still save time if I get it second try. But I'm not going to do it for marathon safety. But if you do get it, it saves about 16.5 seconds. Because I would be able to jump up to that area in the top right where the keys are. I need my cat to move so I can see the game screen. But yeah, I would have been able to get up to that area where the keys were myself instead of having to wait for the bone snake to collect it.
Indeed. Worth noting, by the way, as you can see, you can stand on that bone snake as long as you don't touch the head. Anything else is fine. The tail is fine, and the rest of the body, but the head will kill you, so you need to avoid that.
My cat walked in front of the screen, so I couldn't see.
Cat is trying to kill you. Or just
she almost did.
Mini kitty cat. Alright, so by the way, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, whenever the bone snake collects a key, it actually gains a few tiles of length. And the idea of this level is that you collect all the keys with this snake in order to make it long enough so it would be able to hit all the switches on the right side at the same time. However, Stinger collected one key and is going to manually press some of these buttons in order to open up the appropriate switches.
There's actually a strat where you can collect 2 keys and have to hold down 2 switches at the same time, but while it's fairly consistent, it only saves under 1/4 of a second. It's not really worth the risk. Also, don't blink on this level.
This is one of the, or maybe even the most difficult mandatory level to get through. Oh my goodness. First try.
I would say it's the hardest level for casual players to get through. It has such obtuse solutions to it. But sure, I'm going to do something with manipulating the Reaper cycle on those Reapers in the middle that are hitting switches. I got them to shoot a fireball, which delayed them hitting the switch and set up cycles perfectly for me to just walk right through. This room has a pretty nasty end strat to it. I don't actually know what the intended strat here is, but I just called it.
You're supposed to. Let's see.
First try.
Nice. The intended strategy is actually to leave that bone bridge at the bottom intact and then go across it in the end. Also, this is a tiny level. It's really difficult to know what to do.
Yeah, this one went back to where I mentioned you have to start levels out correctly, otherwise they tend to go poorly. And that's what happened on the first attempt on this one. But here we are with the final real level.
And it looks like a mess. It kind of is a mess, and I love it. It's one of the best levels.
Okay, should have it. That there's no real. I died. Okay, you can see it again. You can watch me manipulate Reaper cycles again, and just watch where I'm standing to manipulate the bone snake. It's a pretty difficult strat, but you get about a second of leniency over that whole segment. So it ends up not being too bad.
Wow,
but that's the last level. This one is just go to the door and time.
Nice, congratulations. That was a pretty sick run.
That was not too bad. And one fun thing about the credits of this game, they don't change much if you get 100%. But if you do get 100%, just look at Henry. He will give you a thumbs up if you actually did complete all of the level.
I actually did not know that.
Oh, you did? I think it actually got added in one of the last patches for the game. because I know it did not do that for the first couple of patches. But we normally go by in-game time in this game because it's a very good in-game timer. It properly counts all the time in levels. I got a 48-10 with 40 deaths. That's not too bad. It's a few minutes off of my PB, but with adding commentary into the run, it does take a lot of the brain power that otherwise goes to making sure I don't flub up levels horribly.
Yeah. It takes a tremendous amount of focus to do everything correct.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is Scapegoat 2. A lot of people have not heard of this game, but you should play it. It's a fantastic game. I recommend it to basically everyone.
Yeah, you may think, oh, you've already seen it, but trust me, you kind of haven't seen like 4/5 of all the level strategies that you're probably supposed to do. And honestly, in my opinion, this is one of the best games in the last 10 years, like probably in my top 5. It's legitimately crazy good.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is it for Scapegoat 2. Thank you guys for having me, and good luck closing out the rest of the marathon.
Indeed, thank you very much for being on here, Stinger. So, once again, this is going to be soon, or I guess just right around now, the end of the naming incentive for the upcoming